What if Deku was King Sombra? I believe this is part... This is part 8. Yep, part 8 of What if Deku was King Sombra. Last where we left off, both Devastation, Red Wing, and Ram were heading back to their headquarters. I'll have one more thing before we start. I could not find any good background for the training camp arc, so unfortunately, there will be just one scene, and that will be all. I apologize. But Devastation and Red Wing and Ram are walking through the halls. So what important information did you find out on the way back that you wanted to speak with King Sombra about? There's an alicorn in this era, shocking both Red Wing and Ram. What? Is it the princesses? No, it's another alicorn. Doesn't resemble any of the princesses back in our time. I heard of Princess Twilight from King Sombra. Is that who it is? Describe her. I haven't heard any information about her. A pink alicorn. No, this one's dark blue with yellow. Male or female? Male. You're right, there wasn't an alicorn back then with that features. Must be a new one that came along a few centuries later. I agree. His power is magnificent. He had come over to Japan to try to defeat me. I learned about his arrival. Quite harsh. But quite harshly, as he had taken out several of my subordinates. I was focusing on trying to escape and regroup with y'all, as King Sombra had sent me a message. Fair point. After all, you are one of our generals. Generals, just like us. Us generals must stick together. We're King Sombra's sword and shield. Exactly. But I must inform him quickly. I must inform him quickly about this news. You're right. As if there's an alicorn in this era, he must know. As they reach a door, Devastation opens the door. I'll go in and inform him now. Y'all can go. Fair point, we must do research on other matters as well. Tell me, Red Wing, what you plan to do? Well, I'll be at the festival, helping y'all steal the orb. It comes right after the training camp. That's good to know. As we go to the throne room with Devastation and King Sombra. It's good to have you back, Devastation. It's good to be back, my king. I do want to inform you about something over my travels. Please tell me it's good news, as I don't want to find out that there's any problems in this era. Unfortunately, no, sir. There is an alicorn in this era. As King Sombra's expression of a delight of his arrival back turns into a sour and a bit of anger. There is a what in this era? An alicorn. Is it Twilight, Luna, or Celestia? Or is it Cadence? It's none of them, sir. It's an alicorn named Fate. Maybe a descendant, I don't know. He just showed up. Of course. Of course there'd be an alicorn. Me thinking there wasn't is the epitome of stupidity. Of course there would be one in this era. They always to be a problem. I've also found research. Equestria hasn't been just destroyed. It's not destroyed at all, sir. As he looks over in interest, what do you mean? I've been roaming around, figuring out and studying magic in this era. Apparently, Equestria has been transported to another type of plane. Shocking, King Sombra. Plane? Then how are we here? The mountains represent the ones we used to fight on. All of this. Yes, apparently only Equestria. had been transported and part of the Crystal Empire. Your domain didn't consist of this, sir, so of course it would stay in this world. So those princesses found a way to cancel out all magic of mine, and most likely teleport themselves to another plane, to prevent the case of me returning, correct? I think that is the correct conclusion, my lord. As he smiles, we can turn this in our favor. What do you mean? Simple. There has to be a way to reach this other plane, and the best way to do it is by getting information from the Alicorn. But sir, he is very strong magic. I would not be able to defeat him if I went up against him. I'm very aware of that, and I have almost gained my full strength. Once I get the orb back, we'll be unstoppable. And then after we take over Japan, of course this Alicorn will have to come over here and try to stop us. But I think I'll lure him here first, before we completely take over. What do you mean? Simple. I've already assigned Sleep with a task. I've assigned Sleep a special task. He's going to be draining all the magic from the training camp area. But sir, I thought only the item that's in the hands of the heroes right now can do that. Yes, but there is a way to drain energy without that item. Of course, it's only temporary, and it'll be going to Sleep's reserves. It's through my scythe, but it's only temporary. So he'll be using the scythe to drain the area of magic all around the training camp, weakening the quarks. Because believe it or not, I found the real reason quarks came into existence. Devastation was absolutely shocked by this. Wait, you found the actual purpose of how they were created? Yes, apparently the overflow of magic caused humans to over time evolve into having these magic attributes. They named these magic attributes quarks. How funny is that? So you're saying magic evolved through them over the time they've existed? Yes. In that case, that explains how quarks came into being. Precisely. But you know what makes things even better for us? As Devastation looks over. The fact they don't even know it's magic. So we can just fiddle our thumbs. And just wait for them to destroy themselves if I wanted to. Because all for one, he may think he's stealing the quarks. Which in hindsight he is. He's one of the things I had learned centuries ago in a book known as Magic Stealer. It's an ancient type of magic only granted to only a few in every century. And sometimes not at all, and it skips a century or two. But finding out that there is one in this era, there is a downside to him as well. What would that be? Magic stealers, or in this case, for all for one, as a quark stealer, he can't steal any quark more powerful than his own. As Devastation is even more shocked by this news. So you're saying, exactly, he can't touch me. 'Cause if he tries to take my magic, he'll get consumed and kill himself. Most likely. Or most likely scar him for the rest of his days. Who knows? But I have noticed and realized he's aware of my existence, even though it's faint. He knows a brief information about me existing. That is shocking. Wait, how did he find this out? By leaving a trail that not even the heroes have figured out. I have to admit, All for One is quite the brilliant mind. But his overconfidence is his greatest downfall. How do you know this? I'm not playing the fool like I did in my past with the princesses in Twilight. I'm doing my research on my opponents. After all, I'll make sure to stomp them this time. Now knowing Equestria is on a different plane, which is meaning the alicorns also exist there. But the fact that there's an alicorn here, you've now approved a theory of mine. And what would that be? That alicorn knows the gateway. After all, what is the best way to hide something? Hide it somewhere no one will find it? Exactly. And who would you trust the most to hide an item to? A person that can live for hundreds, if not centuries, and have immortality, or a person that can only live a short time? With someone that can live for an eternity, sir. Oh, so you're thinking this alicorn hid the item that holds Equestria's gateway. Exactly. The princesses have done well to hide this fact from me, but with your help, you've proved my theory. And as once we're done here in Japan, we'll go look for this gateway. And then we'll destroy Equestria, and it'll come over my rule. And who knows, I may let Vamp control the entirety of Japan. Or even no, he can be my card to use for the entirety of the world. After all, I could have Equestria, a world filled with more magic than anything. Or this land, that has magic but is nowhere near Equestria's level. So I may let Red Vamp take control of this miserable place, while I control Equestria. I've got a question. Who's Red Vamp? Ah, that's right. You don't know of him. He's currently an ally, a pawn, in Sleep's side of the Force. His force of the army, of course. He's a subordinate of his that joined us recently. His power is not to be underestimated. After all, I know the fact that one's growth is through battles. I've learned this through the centuries of being alive. And I've had him almost fight every general of mine so far, and he's learned. In fact, in his last fight with Sleep, he almost gained the upper hand. And then Redwing wanted a chance to fight him. So, of course, he lost severely, as Redwing's speed is not to be underestimated. So, of course, he lost. But every time he loses, everyone adapts. And that adaptation causes room for victory, or a slim chance of victory. After all, when I beat Twilight for a time, she came back even stronger, because I was foolish enough to let her go. My arrogance back then was my downfall. But I won't let that happen again. I'll plan things real thorough this time, and especially with my General Ram, the strategist, whose plans are unmatched, should be able to win this era and take it over quite quickly. Well, anyway, do what you want. Sleep is currently on his way to the training camp. Red Vamp should be there as well. Do what you must. Also, prepare for battle. In a few days, we'll have a full-on fight with the heroes in their own territory. As you wish, sir. I'll gather the troops. Good. And by the time this comes to and happens, they'll be unstoppable. As Devastation leaves the room, as he walks to a window, observing the forest around his castle. And y'all might be wondering, how is King Sombra's old castle that's been rebuilt and all that hidden from the heroes? Simple. Magic. King Sombra has control over shadows. He could easily make a shadow barrier, making it seem like the same old mountain or same old ruins. So of course, he's placed a spell over his castle. Soon, this land will be mine. As we go to, well, the training camp. This is the one scene that will be out through the entirety of the training camp arc. I could not find any other scenes. I do apologize. As Red Vamp is with amongst of Magna, Miss, the gas guy, I always forget his name, Toga, Moonfish, Muscular, Spitter, and Dobby. And I can't forget Mr. Compress. Are all there. So where will we be going? I guess I'll stick with the guy that's in a, in the coat jacket with his hands tied. After all, our orders aren't to kill, right? As Red Vamp looks back. No, but we can do as much damage as we want. As Muscular says, as long as I get to take out a certain someone, I'm fine. Very well. As they all go separate ways, as Red Vamp goes with Moonfish. So who shall we go over first? As then Red Vamp just cuts off Moonfish's head. Oh, sorry. I didn't hear you. After all, your head was rolling. We don't need a weakling with your abilities. You'll just slow us down. Well, now what to do, as he puts his sword to his shoulder. I guess I could cause some chaos. Well, I'll go straight to their building. As we go onto the mountaintop, as we see Muscular, as we also see Coda. As Muscular is about to finish Coda, a sword comes and pierces Muscular's arm. Ugh, who was that? Oh, sorry, did I interrupt something? As we see, it is Sleep, who is holding, well, King Sombra's scythe. You'll pay for that. As Muscular uses his muscle fibers and tries to finish off, or well, tries to kill Sleep, as he's surprised because when he hit him, there was a dust cloud and it cleared, revealing Sleep unharmed and in a barrier. You people never learn. Barriers are my specialty. As then he quickly uses his scythe and cuts Muscular across the chest. He managed to barely evade the scythe and back off. I admit you're quite strong, but you cannot possibly win against me, as Muscular then controls more muscle fibers, building up his arm, and goes to punch the barrier again. As it actually breaks the barrier, as dust clears and Muscular thinks he hit him. As we see Sleep behind him, and his right arm where he attacked him, gone, as we see it flying in the air. Oh, you really think that you could have actually hit me, a person with over a centuries of battle experience? As Muscular looks back and controls his other arm with muscle fibers and goes in for a deadly hit. This time, another knife comes in from behind, hitting Muscular in the back. As he quickly backs up. What was that? As he looks back, seeing Red Vamp. Oh, I was going to attack the building, but then I noticed you were in the area, Sleep. What's the meaning of this, Red Vamp? Oh, sorry. I couldn't hear you over my alliance with my ally. You betraying the League? Who said I was a part of the League to begin with? As he just kicks Moonfish's head, as it just rolls down. He's surprised. As Muscular attempts to run and flee, as then just a barrier of blood wraps around him. Shall you do the job? Thank you, Red Vamp. As he then uses the scythe to cut the, well, ball of blood that held Muscular. As the blood separates, as we see Muscular in half, as his upper body falls down the mountain. And this is for good measure, as Red Vamp just kicks a boulder down there, as it squishes Muscular, killing him. There, another loose end dealt with. As then Red Vamp looks over and sees Coda. Well, I guess I better silence him too. As he then walks over and is about to swing when his arm gets severed. As he looks over at his dissevered arm. What was that for, Sleep? Leave the kid. After all, I'm bringing him to Ram. We can learn more about these quarks with the research of Ram. So I prefer we at least bring someone back. As Red Vamp controls the blood and reattaches his arm. He moves his arm. Fine. As he grabs the kid and just knocks him out. I'll lay him down for you. He lays him down on the ground. Now I better go do my part before the League gets suspicious. You're right. Go ahead and go play your role, Red Vamp. Of course, as he smiles. After all, who wouldn't mind a few roughed up students? As he then rushes off. Red Vamp is surely someone that loves fighting. He reminds me of an old ally of mine. As we get a flashback with a Earth Pony that was very good with a sword and loved fighting. It's been a while. This is all a flashback. Yes, it's been a while, old friend. You were named the Destroyer of Mountain for a reason, you know that. Yeah, I was. As the flashback ends. Of course he had to die in that fight against the Alicorn of the Crystal Empire. He underestimated her power. But a loss of a general did spark us to go to war and completely take over the Crystal Empire at the time. I need to stop with this memorizing things right now. I need to focus on the task at hand. As he then puts in the scythe in the ground. As then the magic around the area starts pulling in and gathering towards the scythe, draining some life from nearby trees as well. Yes, gather as much magic as you can. As it gathers a whole lot of magic in the area, weakening every student, every hero, every villain except Red Vamp, who's the exception because he got put with a protection spell by Sleep to negate the effects. So everyone has been, weakened, or gets a feeling of weakening on them. As Dobby, who had started a fire, feels his quark is a little bit drained. I thought I didn't use that much of my power. I must have used too much than I thought. And at this point, Mustro got defeated by, Tetsu and Kendo. And pretty much everything else goes on the same as canon. Bakugo being kidnapped. And Tokiyami almost getting kidnapped, but getting rescued by, I'm gonna say, Shoto. And we see Eraserhead roaming around the area, looking for the rest of the students as he sees someone just walking around in a red suit. As he hides behind one of the trees. Who's that? He tries to get a closer look at the man before he just vanishes. Of course, this was through Kurogiri's teleportation quark. Now, Coda, what Sleep does with Coda is Sleep brings him back to headquarters or back to the castle. You'll see what happens to him in the next part. We go to the meeting after that where the heroes will be meeting. The LV has one of our students. Yes, and they have some powerful villains with them too. But we got lucky. Aizawa says, "What do you mean?" "I found 2 dead bodies of villains while looking around. It seemed there was a third party involved." "A third party, you say?" "Yes, Muscular was severed in half and his upper body got crushed by a boulder. Moonfish got decapitated." Those are top-tier villains. Defeated so easily. Who did it? I don't know. It doesn't seem like anyone from the League did it, though. It seems like there was an outside party. What was the outside party doing, then? Did they have any intention of attacking the camp? It doesn't seem so. I think the villains nearly came across them and got defeated. We must be aware of this third party, then. We'll have to increase the security. We'll go free young Bakugo. And we'll still have to host that festival thing we do. But sir, with the amount of villain and all that attacks, we can't possibly do that. Yes, we can. After all, it's a tradition for UA to host it. And it's the one time we need to display our strength by saying out the orb we found. After all, the thing is still under research and holds various potential power. But still, it'll be guarded heavily, so we don't have to worry about being stolen. And only heroes and students and the faculty will be allowed in. So the chance of any intruders are very slim. Of course, the Hero Safety Commission president will also be there. So there's no worry. I guess you're right. You're being a little bit paranoid, All Might says. Can you blame me these attacks by the villains? Fair point. But we'll go take them out as soon as possible. Of course. After all, we have an idea of their location. Of course, we'll gather up the heroes and make a strike force to take them out. As they all agree, as then the meeting comes to an end, as well as this part of What If Deku Was King Sombra, Part 8. Hopefully you all enjoyed. Remember to leave a like and subscribe for more.